The message came at 1:11 a.m., no greeting, no warmth, just, "Dale thinks it's best if you skip Christmas this year. He's hosting a formal dinner. Big names are coming, hope you understand." I stared at the screen, then again slower this time, and once more for the sheer disbelief of it. The woman who sent that text was my mother. The same woman who, 6 months ago, was calling me in tears, begging me to help her keep the properties from being seized. And Dale, her golden boy. The same brother who forged signatures on 2 loan documents, drove the family into debt with a failed startup, and walked away clean because I cleaned it up. I didn't reply, because what do you say when your own mother chooses a carefully staged dinner over the daughter who saved her entire portfolio? No, not saved. Bought. They don't know that part yet, that I'm not just the one who signed the checks. I'm the name on the clause they never read. They wanted a quiet holiday, so I gave them one, along with a quiet notice of eviction. Dale was always the one with the applause, the loudest laugh, the boldest dreams, the biggest mistakes, and every time he failed, the family rallied. Entrepreneurship is risky. He just needs another shot. He's trying. They called it potential. I called it arson, but I was the one handed the hose. When Mom got audited for the 3rd time in 5 years, it was me who negotiated with the tax board. Me who paid the back interest. Me who found a way to consolidate 5 properties under one holding company. I saved the legacy she almost gambled away for Dale's next pitch deck. And I did it without a parade. No one clapped. No one noticed. Except my attorney. He said, "If you're going to fix this, Sutton, do it right. Get it in writing and make it bulletproof." So I did. 6 months ago, at her most desperate, I slid a folder across her kitchen table. Inside, a simple agreement. If repayment wasn't made within 180 days, full title of the family's land would transfer to me. Quietly. Legally. Permanently. Mom didn't blink. She just signed, grateful, tearful, desperate. She thought she still had the power. She forgot that I learned from her. Christmas was always Dale's show. This year, the lights are still on, but the stage belongs to me. The invitation never came. Of course it didn't. But I saw the Instagram posts anyway. Gold-plated name cards, imported candles, a string quartet flown in from Austin. Caption: The Garvers, tradition, power, legacy. Dale at the head of the table. Mom beside him, pearls and all, like nothing ever cracked. They were about to toast when the doorbell rang. And that's when it started. A single manila envelope, hand-delivered. Stamped in bold. Notice of enforcement contract 113 FG. Inside, full documentation of the transfer clause. A detailed invoice of 6 months' unpaid dues. A certified deed showing that as of midnight, I own the Garver estate. Right as Dale raised his glass, Mom read the first line and turned white. I know this not because I was there, but because one of the guests, a city council candidate, thought the chaos made for good content. He posted a video. Dale shouting, Mom gasping, a flute of champagne crashing to the floor. Someone muttered, "You should have read the fine print." I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. I just closed the video and forwarded it to my lawyer with one line. Effective immediately. Begin proceedings. Dale built his future on borrowed names. Too bad one of those names was mine. My phone rang at 10:04 p.m. Private number. I answered. "Sutton, what the hell did you do?" Dale's voice, tight, furious. In the background, I heard clinking glass and Mom's panicked whisper. "You're ruining everything," he snapped. Council members were here, journalists. You humiliated us. I leaned back in my chair, watching the cursor blink on my laptop. "No, Dale," I said. "You did that when you made promises on land you didn't own." Silence, then. You knew this would be my big night. You could have waited until after the campaign launch. "I did wait," I said calmly. 6 months, exactly. The grace period ended tonight. I held up my end. "You blindsided us." "No," I replied. You ignored me. There's a difference. He tried a different tone, pleading. You know Mom can't handle this kind of stress, her blood pressure. I cut in. Then maybe she shouldn't have put her entire retirement portfolio on a handshake deal with her favorite child. He went quiet, then the last card, you've always hated me, admit it. I paused. I don't hate you, Dale, I just stopped carrying the weight of your mistakes. He exhaled, shaky. So what now? Now, I said, eyes cold. Now you read the papers you didn't bother to skim. You have 14 days to vacate, or buy the property at current market value, or start paying rent to me. Rent! His voice cracked like glass. That's how grown-ups live, I said, and hung up. When you've been quiet your whole life, the first time you say no feels like thunder. The call came at 10:04 p.m., private number. I already knew who it was. I answered without a word. Sutton, what the hell did you just do? Dale's voice, sharp as broken glass. In the background, raised voices, a dropped plate, Mom's frantic breathing. You ruined everything. The donors were still here, the press, city council. Do you even realize what you've done? I stayed quiet, letting the storm pass. Then calmly, I enforced a legal contract you signed 6 months ago, that's all. You could have waited. I did, I said flatly. 180 days. You just chose not to believe the countdown was real. He paused, shifted gears. Mom's having chest pains. She's crying in the guest room. She says you've betrayed her. I stared at the ceiling, then back at the email from my attorney. The title transfer had gone through. So had the first eviction notice. No, Dale, I said. I'm just the one finally telling the truth out loud. You broke things. I'm just putting down the pieces you never cleaned up. He went quiet, then soft, manipulative soft. You always wanted to take this from me. Admit it, you were jealous. I exhaled. No, I wanted peace, but peace without boundaries isn't peace, it's submission, and I'm done submitting. You can't kick your own family out of their home. I'm not, I said. I'm giving you 3 choices. 1, buy the house. 2, pay rent. 3, leave. His voice broke. This is war. I smiled, the kind that doesn't reach your eyes. No, Dale. This is the invoice for 15 years of cleanup, and it's past due. I hung up. The house wasn't the only thing I reclaimed. I also took back the one thing they never expected to lose, control. They arrived 10 minutes early. Mom brought a Tupperware of lemon bars like it was still 2009. Dad looked like a balloon someone forgot to tie, pale, quiet, deflated. And Dale, he wore a blazer like armor, still trying to play the part. We sat around my dining table. No hugs, no pleasantries. Just silence thick enough to spread with a butter knife. I opened my laptop. 3 tabs, 3 files, 3 options. I turned the screen toward them. Option 1, sell Dale's unit. Use the equity to buy a smaller house outright. No loans, no strings, clean slate. Option 2, pay back the owed debt in full, at market interest, starting today. Option 3, Dale moves out. I lease the family home to vetted tenants. Mom and Dad find alternate housing or pay market rent. No sugarcoating, no emotion. Just numbers. Mom's lip quivered. Sweetheart, this is a lot. I nodded. So was wiring 6 figures to bail you out. So was watching you let Dale list the house on promotional material he didn't own. Dale leaned forward. I can pay you back, I just need time. You had time, I said. 6 months of it, and instead of paying down debt, you threw a gala. Silence. Then I slid over a printed document. It was a signed affidavit from the family's former bookkeeper, confirming Dale had opened a credit line under my name, maxed it, never told me. Dad blinked. You did what? Dale stood up. This is a trap. Mom reached over. Sit down. It was the first time she'd ever raised her voice to him, ever. I looked at her. Choose wisely, because this is the last meeting I'm calling. After this, the lawyers take over. They asked for forgiveness, but what they really needed was a receipt. Dale's hands were fists on the table, still standing, still pretending this wasn't happening. "I'm not selling my unit," he snapped. "You don't get to dictate the future of this family." I didn't flinch. "I already did, 6 months ago, with your mother's signature." Mom looked away. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "I didn't think you'd go through with it," she whispered. "That was the moment, not the debt, not the fraud, that sentence. I didn't think you'd go through with it. They never do with daughters like me. We're the responsible ones, the quiet ones. The ones who fix it, smile, and say it's okay even when it's not. But I wasn't her safety net anymore. I was the contract she forgot she signed." Dale shoved the chair back and stormed toward the door. "You're not family anymore," he spat. "You're just a landlord." I didn't even blink. "Then start acting like a tenant. You've got 12 days. He slammed the door. Mom sat frozen, tears welling up but no longer spilling. It wasn't grief. It was shock, the kind that hits when the person you thought would never leave lets go. She finally spoke. "What are you going to do?" "Whatever you choose," I said. "Option 1, 2, or 3, but if I don't hear from your lawyer by Friday, I'll assume it's option 3. She stood slowly. "Your grandmother would have been ashamed of this." I smiled, calm, cold, final. "No, Grandma was the one who taught me to read the fine print. Some families survive silence. Ours didn't survive the truth." 12 days passed. No calls, no apologies, no lawyers. On the 13th morning, a moving truck pulled into the driveway of what used to be my family's home. I didn't go. The property manager sent photos, Dale's guitars boxed. Mom's china wrapped in newspaper. Dad's bookshelf emptied except for a dusty Bible and a cracked photo frame. The house looked hollow. Not because they left, but because it was never full of anything real to begin with. 3 weeks later, I got a letter, handwritten, from Mom. "I don't know who you've become." I folded it slowly, not in anger, but in recognition, because I knew exactly who I'd become, not her daughter, not Dale's fixer, not the placeholder between breakdowns. I'd become the version of myself that doesn't ask permission to be treated fairly. And once you taste that version of yourself, you don't go back. I used to think drawing a line would break the family. But the truth is, there was no family, just a fragile structure held together by my silence. And now the structure collapsed, but I'm still standing. Sometimes you don't need justice, just distance and the courage not to return. Spring came early that year. I planted lavender outside my new window, not because I needed peace, but because I finally had space for it. Mom never called. Not after the letter, but I heard from a neighbor they rented a small condo 2 towns over. Dale moved in with a friend. Dad took up fishing again. Life didn't explode. It just resized. I didn't keep the house. I sold it. Donated part of the proceeds to a scholarship fund in Grandma's name. The rest, I used to buy a little craftsman-style place, nothing flashy, but it's mine. Fully paid. No signatures but my own. One night I stood by the window, watching rain curl down the glass, and I realized I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt done. Because healing doesn't always feel like triumph. Sometimes it feels like stillness. Like letting go of the rope in a tug-of-war you should have dropped years ago. People ask me if I'd take them back, if they called, if they changed, if they finally saw me clearly. And the truth, I don't need them to see me anymore. I see myself clearly, and that's enough. It was never about revenge. It was about remembering who I was before I became what they needed. And now, I'm not angry. I'm just free.